Welcome back to the Purple Empire Summons. Today we've got a special guest with us, the owner of Tunes Recording Studio in Durham, North Carolina. He's been doing this for over 18 years, helping artists find their sound and create music they're proud of. He's built a space where creativity feels natural and the vibe is always right. We're really glad to have him on the show. Mack, welcome. How you doing today?
Doing great, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Have you been getting outside? The weather has been warming up.
Man, it has been beautiful. I love this time of the year in North Carolina. It sucks that I'm down here in the basement, but you know how much I love this place. But it's been really nice outside and just getting outside with the fam and enjoying it, man. How have you been?
That's awesome. It's been great. I love this spring, but I always talk about this on my last previous shows. My allergies just won't compensate with me.
I'm with you on that one.
How do you balance daily life and producer life? Because it seems like your life is a very busy one.
Yeah, it used to be a lot more hectic back in the day. I'd say probably like 3 years ago, whenever I was really starting up and creating the business and going down that path, because I was kind of bouncing back between multiple jobs. But nowadays it's not too bad. I typically work in the late night hours whenever everyone else is getting off work. I'm clocking into work. So I work from 6 to 2 a.m. on really like a daily basis, and sometimes even longer on weekends. But I like the balance I got now because I'm able to spend some time with the fam during the day and hang out with my kid Arlo, and it's been good. It's been a cool transition, and I like having the flexibility of working by the hour and just clock in whenever somebody needs me.
That's awesome. And I'm actually glad that you touched on this flexibility aspect. You have built a wonderful studio here in downtown Durham, the home of my city. Tell us the story of how Tunes Recording Studio got started. Tell us the origin.
Yeah, so I knew I always wanted to bring a studio to my hometown. I was born and raised here in Durham as well, and grew up a lot just in the surrounding counties and kind of bounced back and forth between this county and other counties. But I always knew that Durham had something special. And it took me about 2 years to find a spot to where a tenant would allow me to customize this entire space the way I kind of envisioned it, and got lucky to find this place. And it's only about 5 minutes from my house, and it's been a really cool transition putting on for the city, because I feel like there's so much talent here in Durham, Raleigh and Chapel Hill, and like really everywhere, because the demographics, are at a kind of like a younger phase. There's so many colleges, D1 colleges, and compared to other places in the state. And I knew if I really wanted to make it happen with the type of music that I like to make, hip hop, pop, R&B, country, this would be the perfect spot.
Yeah, Durham, the Raleigh-Durham area is a growing city, and there is no signs of it slowing down anytime soon. I'm always curious to know what goes into production, as in what tools you use. I've heard of FL Studios. I'm not a producer, so I don't really know the names of it.
Yeah, so I've been a FL Studio user since 2006, I think it was, when I first got the program for my birthday. And ever since then, I've been using that for the past 18 years. And really just, it's like my pen and pad for if I was an artist. So I'm to the point now where I can use the gear I got and create my own melodies, my own songs, anything, any route that I want to go. So I love the creativity aspect of that. And I think it's important for everyone to have something that they can, just relax, create, and have something that is just theirs. It's really personal. But there's all kinds of different plugins. FL Studio is just what they call the digital audio workface that anyone can use. Same thing as Pro Tools, Cubase. They're all going to do the same thing, but the setup is just a little bit different. But FL was the choice that I chose because you can use it for production, making music, as well as recording vocals. You can do sound scores for movies, all kinds of stuff. So possibilities are endless.
Now, talking about production, because that is one expensive market to enter. How expensive is it to enter this market? Now, I've kind of talked about this with Ray, and if you want to watch that video, you can click the I up here and watch the video. But this market isn't guaranteed. How do you cope with that?
Yeah, so starting out, I would say you'd kind of break it up into three different levels. I'm kind of at the middle tier. right now. There is the third tier, which would be like just the big time studios, the ones that have multiple spaces, multiple rooms. Because the reason I say it in level is just because of the pricing. It's a lot nicer nowadays just because you can get into it with about, I'd say about a $600 to $800 budget to have like the bare minimum, not including a computer. If you have the computer, then, it would be good. But that 600 range would get you, speakers, and then you got plugins. A lot of the companies nowadays are doing subscriptions, so that can get a little pricey, but there are a lot more options than what there was back in 2007. But in general, like, with production, all you really need is a MIDI keyboard. And this, of course, doesn't have any instruments on it, but that's where that money comes in, to where you can buy specific digital instruments and play any way you want to, even if it's a piano or guitar or saxophone, anything you want. So it's not as expensive as it used to be. Like, for example, these speakers that I have, entry tier speaker made by the same company would be around $300. These are going to be double that for the second tier at about $650. And then after the second level, things start going up to like 6,000, 10,000.
My goodness.
And the same thing happens with mics. The same thing happens with really any piece of gear. Same thing with the interface. There's like these little phases, but I really do enjoy that. Companies are starting to make lower tiers, so it's easier to get into the market, at least get working to where you can figure it out, and then gradually upgrade. Like I do, I upgrade about every 2 years, and I kind of just keep following that and just keep working my way up. Leveraging that the cash that's coming in, and as well as beat sales and all kinds of stuff.
That's awesome because, and that's another thing. What did you do to make your studio so soundproof? Because that's like one of like the most important things when it comes to production. You can't be out somewhere recording a song and there's lots of stuff going on, especially where the location of your studio is.
Yeah, there's actually a fire department right down the road, and luckily I'm in a basement because there was several other places that I could have bought that ideally you could not acoustically treat it, like a place with a bunch of windows or something. But down here we don't have any windows. We're about 13 feet underground, so it acoustically, that alone, even without all the panels that I built, would ideally be better than just being in someone's house. But down here, I'd say about 5 years ago, I started building acoustic panels, and that was like one of my side gigs, and learned how to do that on YouTube University. And I've always been good with just woodworking and stuff like that. I enjoy a cool project, especially when it comes to custom projects. But I spent about 3 months designing this place, getting the acoustic treatment like as good as it can get it for this space that we're working with. But overall, I think it makes the biggest difference. It can make or break, as you can tell, the difference from going to the booth to in here, two totally different spaces. But I think the way I built it, I designed it and researched it, I think this is one of one. And it really does pay off for the mixing and all the quality that we're getting out of this place.
Let me tell y'all something. Tunes Recording Studio is a very high quality place, and the fact that it's in on a main street in Durham, it's great that he's able to provide soundproofing, and just in general. Now I have a question that I have to ask, and this is going in towards like producer and artist type relationship. I just want to touch on that a little bit because we kind of touched on that on the last podcast. But how do you handle criticism and feedback from artists when you do something that they may not like? Do you believe that the music artist has the final say, or should it be a teamwork? What do you think on that?
Yeah, so running the business as the engineer, I have to somewhat keep an unbiased opinion, but I still will throw in my personal opinion and different ideas that I come up with on the fly, just like we do sometimes with your sessions. I may not know what direction you want to go with. The program's set up to record vocals, and I have a general idea of effects-wise of, kind of the standard. But during that time, I want to focus and work with the artist and let them do exactly what they're hearing in their head. And then I'll try to spice that up, as well as maybe some more people in the room that may be giving feedback. And the cool thing about nowadays is we have the flexibility to undo it. Control Z. That crazy advancement compared to what people were having to do back in like 60s and 70s, like recording on tape. Because if we're working through the recording process and you come in, you're just like, hey man, today I'm going to freestyle. You are about to spend probably thousands of dollars just on tape because you're like, oh, I don't like that take. Redo it. Redo it. Well, there is no redo. So I think having that option and allowing us to have, if you mess up, no problem. Undo. Let's try it again. And I think that alone, just working with an artist one-on-one, that's why I like having private sessions so we don't have to worry about anyone else coming in and, messing up our focus. But, at the end of the day, I do want the best possible outcome, regardless if it's my song or not, just because I want everything to just be as good as it can possibly get. So I always try to steer that artist into the right direction.
And I always want to touch on that because like it's very, very important that producers and that artists have a great relationship and the space allows creativity. There's a lot of, mainstream artists nowadays and like their songs are considered mainstream, but if you go look at some of their songs, a lot of the songs are different. They're not all
Yeah.
just one singular type deal.
Yeah, having a wide genre of music, I think, is powerful for not only or more important for an artist that's just starting out, but you see it nowadays with all styles of music. For example, Beyonce and all these other hip hop artists and other genres of music that are like, let's say, MGK to rock music. It seems to be more acceptable nowadays to work outside the box. And I used to be a producer that was kind of stuck in my own ways, where I would make music the way I want it to be made. And it's good, it's fun doing it that way. But sales wise, everyone's going to be riding the wave of like what's hot at that specific time. So as an artist or a producer, or anyone making music, a band, I think it's important to follow the wave, take pieces from the wave, and apply it to your own creation so that you still stay up to date. It's still unique. And sometimes you can tap into other markets that may, you know, get more fans to come listen to your original music. And I think it's a good balance doing it that way. But people are open to it with all the social media nowadays.
Yeah, it's like Chick-fil-A, McDonald's. They remodel like every 5 years to keep up with the trends and the dates. Still the same old chicken, but just different looks. That's great.
Yeah, new
And I
and
actually want to touch
improved.
new and improved. That is right. That is so true. I want to talk to these aspiring producers because I want to give them hope. What's the number one piece of advice for people who want to be producers?
So nowadays with social media, that is by far the number one thing that you have to do. Social media is not just a place for you to post and document what you're doing. You want to use social media as like a LinkedIn account. It is now your resume. That piece of paper resume that we were taught how to write in college, it's cool, but for production and music, that does not matter. What matters is your trademark, your actual how you are depicted to people on social media. So I think either making, how some producers wear masks, that
Mm-hmm.
is a little cheat code because it now separates you from everyone else from just being a person because people will look at you as being something out of this world just with a mask on. But just for that aspect, making something unique about yourself that's different from everyone else. And then when it comes to the like music business side of things, you really want to use all the platforms, YouTube, BeatStars, and get your music out there. Don't do what I did my first 3 years, and I kept telling myself, "Oh, it's not ready. It's it's not done yet." Uh, you need to release more and more music because the more music you release, the more chances you have for sales, the more chances you have for it to get into somebody's hands. And then, that one song that you may not, and this has happened to me several times, making a beat, and I'm just like, this is trash. I'm just going to go to the next one. And then all the songs that I liked, I thought, this one's going to make me $1 million. Those beats did sell, but they did not sell as good as some of the tracks where I was just like, whatever. And I figured that out when I would play back some of my music to my friends, and I'd play one a little bit and I'd skip it, and they'd be like, "Yo, go back to that one." And I was just like, "No, that was trash," but they liked that one the best. So at that point, I think it's important to release all of your music, do not hold anything, because just because you don't like it doesn't mean somebody else will. And that will really speed up your process instead of kind of gatekeeping all of your work. But that is, I think those in combination would be a really good starting point for any producer, and just, just making stuff unique and memorable. And lastly, I will say, I think it's powerful for you to get in front and involved with the community that you are surrounded with, and meeting as many
Hmm.
artists as you possibly can. Because if you don't get out, it's the same concept as if you have the best cheeseburgers on the block. If nobody knows about it, then no one will show up. So you have to
That is
let
so
people
true.
know who you are and what you were trying to do, and always be available. So just having some flexibility.
That is so true. And I love that you put that last part in because that was actually one of my next questions. But that honestly gives me some more time to talk about this because this is really important just for small artists in general. People are so afraid of criticism. If you don't like it, then everybody else has to not like it. Let's be honest. Michael Jackson, I believe, is a great artist, but somebody down the road could think Michael Jackson is a trash artist. What do you have to say about that, about criticism and that type of stuff?
Yeah, so me personally, I love haters. Haters will always talk the most. They will always comment, no matter if it's negative or positive. These social media accounts do not care if it's negative or positive. It's the fact of getting some type of feedback. And majority of that feedback, probably 90% of the feedback, is just somebody that is jealous of what you're making. The and you'll eventually get some very positive feedback. Dealing with both sides of it and understanding that majority of the people that comment are more than likely not making their own music. They may listen to someone else. And at the end of the day, that's one of 8 billion people, let's say, in the entire world. So taking criticism is a powerful tool, but you just got to know what to do with it. And that's why I think we talked about this before during one of the sessions, is we're eventually going to be having listening parties. And with that concept, you want to invite 15 people, your friends, but have them fill out a form for each song about what they feel about it, without asking them face to face. Because all of your friends will say, hey, that one's fire. That's the one. But it's very hard to find a friend that tells you their true opinion. Yeah, this song is cool. It sounds great, but I just don't like this type of music. Like, great. That's perfect. But a lot of people won't say it like that. But I think just taking the criticism and accepting it, and taking maybe a piece of it, like, oh, he said the hi hat was maybe too loud. I think he's right. I think I need to turn it down. So I think just being open is the most important part, and not trying to close yourself off and feel like you're being disrespected, because that I don't think that's what it is.
People should use criticism as a way to get better, not for them to feel down or feel attacked. Your
Yeah,
haters,
and
I feel like, can
really
be.
important with just like failing in general. A lot of people they fail one time and they're like, oh, screw it, I'm done. I don't like that feeling. I don't want to fail ever again. And then they just say screw it. Which instead, you got to fail to learn something. So every time you fail, that should be a positive thing. You're like, man, like this is what I did wrong, and I won't do that again. And then you do the next thing, and then you skip to the next failure, and you go, oh no, I'm not going to do that again. And you keep working your way up until you got all the failures, for the most part, out of the way.
That's right. And like, we're going to go into like our relationship as an artist or a producer and artist. But I actually want to touch on that because when I first got into the studio, like where I am now, and I started in December, and where I am now in April, I've improved a whole lot. Would you say?
Yeah, and I see that phase similar to the one you went through with a lot of other artists as well. And you have a lot of expectations. And when you get in, you start to figure out that there's all these little things that you never even thought about, that you needed to just experience it, whether it's booth presence, whether it's mic presence, anything. How you should do the harmonies. Should we do harmonies? Like, there's so many different things that go about it. And I think at the beginning stages, you're very overwhelmed, and some people may get, like disappointed, and they were like, I think it should have sounded like this. But as you can tell, I think you have maybe like what, 8 songs, maybe 10, that we've recorded, at
Yeah,
least with me. Every time we come in, I swear you say, I think this is my favorite one. And it keeps getting better and better and
right.
better. it's not like big changes. Your voice is still you, but something you're learning these little things.
I love getting advice and other things about what it's like to work with me in general. That's how I grow. And I want artists who's watching this, producers, everybody, use me as an example. Just how you should approach the studio. What is the biggest thing you've noticed regarding me as a person and my artwork?
Yeah, so I think from the first session to the session we've had most recently, I'll kind of compare between those two. Um, I think first off is, and this goes with really any new thing that anyone would do. I think everyone's going to experience this, and I still do when I go record at other studios. There's just a little like nervous factor to it, and that's natural. But learning how to like know when it's coming and kind of like expect it, that eventually you don't even think about it. But I think now you're just like, hey man, what's up? Let's make some music. Let's get it. You know, like we're that's already out the window. So I think that has been a big jump for you. And the only way that I think you could have progressed from the first session to the most recent session we had is to put in the time. I mean, there's no other way you would get around that feeling unless you put in the time. So I think you're going in an awesome direction, and now you're in a very comfortable place to where you can not get overwhelmed with emotion, but tap into whatever type of emotion that you want to feel for that track. Because the emotion side of things is very important for music, because you're trying to depict the way you say it. Because you can, we can say things 100 different types of ways. But I feel like you're really focused. You're relaxed. You know what you want to come in with. You're planned out. That's the other big thing is planning. Freestyling is cool, but it's not, shouldn't be used for a studio performance. Every now and again, cool, do a freestyle, but you want to have songs that you like sat down and put your like heart and soul into it. And and until you get to a point where you're like, yes, this one's done. I would be stressed out if I came to the studio and I was just like, yeah, just pull up a beat. Let me just freestyle, you know?
Yeah, for real. And I think honestly, like when you told me, and this is for everybody else too, artists, producers out there, before you come into the studio, use BandLab. Record what you want, do what you want to do. And honestly, like when I come in the studio sometimes and just certain things not work, and then some things do work, and then I may think of other things, yeah, all the time. But have a preset plan already of what you want to do. So that way, if you only have 2 hours, you're not using 2 hours trying to think about what you're trying to do.
Correct.
I just
Yeah,
wanted
just
to
come
touch
in
on
with
that.
a master plan, and because little hiccups will happen. But if you have a plan, then it's not as overwhelming, because you already have the other 90% figured out.
That's right. Now, I got to ask this question. What's the biggest thing you've noticed you cannot stand when working with me? And please, if there is something, I want you to be 100% honest, no sugarcoating. I really want this to be a platform for people and artists to understand what it's like. I don't mind putting my business out there.
Yeah, I would say, let's see. Overall, I think what a lot of singers, because you do a little bit of both, you sing and rap, but I think the aspect of singing in general can get a little complicated sometimes. And me and you, sometimes we try to figure out like what harmony we want to do, or we try to overcomplicate things that don't need to be too overcomplicated. But that one process, I think, is just creativity. Kind of, we're trying to figure out which direction to go. But for you in general, I think the just singing wise, like you already have the plan of how you want to do it, but don't overdo it. You know what I mean? And because there's always more versions that we can create of one song, and it's like a radio edit. Like, let's make the radio edit. And if you really want to go all out, save that for the show. You know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
kind of just having a standard, just so that you don't get too worked up or any type of frustration during a session. You kind of just have it at a really good point.
Yeah, I can honestly agree with that because I will say, like, I have this major problem, and I'm sure that a lot of people struggle with this too. When I do something, I feel like I don't want to go through the necessary steps to get big. I just want to go in big. Like I just want to go ahead and be the best, making the best music. And it's like when I hear these artists, and I need to stop doing this. When I tell y'all comparison is the thief of joy, I will listen to my music and I'll listen to maybe somebody else's music who has a ton of harmonies. And I'm like, how come I don't have all those harmonies in my song? And then I try to do it and then it messes up. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that for a little bit. Now, we're gonna begin closing, but I have some few questions I want to ask. Your multimedia room is open now. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that's been a very exciting process, and that's been about 3 years in the making. The original build, this room was going to be in that garage because that was the biggest one. But we had some problems with leaks over there by the garage door, and we were just like, just put this to the side. Let's just build it back here. But I'm so glad I did that because that room is perfect for what it is now. We have two cyclorama walls, basically got the curve at the bottom, just so we don't have any shadows when shooting any type of green screen content or photo shoots for white. And so we got the white wall, green screen. I just installed a black curtain for the third set, and then there's a fourth set with kind of like a black cinder block and TV set. We just used that last week for a podcast to where people can put their logo up and show some videos or something. But we've been doing a lot of work in there. I've had it open for about a month, and we have it on Peerspace. I actually got a music video I'm shooting tonight in there, and just doing drop-down mic videos. And then future reference-wise, we're going to be doing some green screen content and making just some unique backgrounds and sets for podcast shows. So it's going to be really cool, and hopefully have that rocking and rolling, the green screen stuff by like this Christmas.
When I tell y'all that multimedia room is down pat, that thing is down pat. Green screens, everything. If you want to drive a car in there, you can.
Yep,
The whole
cool.
setup is just set out. It's very, very functional, and all his information will be down in the description below anyway. Are there any new things coming for Tunes Recording Studio, coming into Tunes Recording Studio?
I'd say the whole layout is done. So there won't be any construction or like new things. Maybe some like new lights every now and again in other places. But one thing I do want to get new is some plaques on the wall this year. So maybe you can help me out with that and fill out the whole hallway because I have that blanked right now just for that. So that's one of my goals, to at least get one plaque this year by the end of the year.
We're going to make that
And
happen.
then overall, there'll be some cool spring and summer functions coming up. I want to do like some artist meetups to where, we can sell maybe 20 tickets, have 20 artists, local artists, and just surrounding people that I work with, just to get a big group in here and have, a cookout, have some good just camaraderie, and people can tap in with other people if they like what they hear, their music, so they can get features, as well as have some big discounts on like an exclusive drop down mic, so that everybody that paid for a ticket and is there, they'll all get a video and leave with something, and just keep building that up to where we eventually have something kind of like on the radar, but here local.
Durham needs that musically. We have some great talent in Durham, and it's about time for Durham to rise up.
Big time.
How have we treated you today? How has the Purple Empire treated you today?
This is great, man. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I just enjoy anything about talking about music, and you're always good company.
I appreciate that. Any final words or remarks before we close out?
For all the producers, artists, engineers, music videographers, photographers, keep going. Don't stop, because it does pay off, just working down and putting in the time. Don't quit. Keep going at it, and look forward to hearing some of y'all's music.
We just want to appreciate Mack so much for taking his time out to come to the Purple Empire. He is most definitely bigger than me for now. No, I'm joking. Anyway, we just want to appreciate him so much. He has done the most for me. He creates my music. So if you ever wonder who's producing my music, it's this guy. And all his stuff will be down in the description. Thank you so much, Mack. You have a blessed day, okay?
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.